Brandi, do you believe in miracle signs and wonders?
Yes. Yeah. It started out when I was 21, and we started with smoking weed. I had smoked weed twice before that and went 4 or 5 years. When, 16, I had smoked twice. And then until I was 21, had never smoked again, occasionally drank. But at 21, I started smoking weed on a regular basis, and I was introduced to crank, which is a stimulant, much like meth is today. The chemicals are not available, so they don't have crank anymore. It's meth. And that led to LSD and acid and led to pills. And I mean, so like I said, it's easier to tell you that I've never smoked crack and I've never done heroin, but I've done pretty much everything else that's out there. And it, started at 21 and escalated quickly like it, normally does. Because when you're immersed in that lifestyle, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do this and let's try that. And before you know it, there's not much you're not doing. At 21, I was going through my first divorce, and the guy that I was dating, who later became my second husband, was an addict. I didn't know that at the time, or I would have avoided him. My parents were addicts, and so I knew that lifestyle, and I knew I didn't want anything to do with it. But after we had started dating and got married, I found out that he had been an addict, and he introduced it to me. He started saying, "Well, let's try this and let's do that." And girl, your heart and love will lead you to do stupid things. So that's how it all started. Was the guy that I was dating and ended up marrying, started getting me to try stuff.
Right.
And I'm not blaming it on him. There's no blame. I take all the blame. I had the choice myself. It's not, but he was the one that came around that was doing it. I had gotten arrested in a hotel room. There was like 12 of us, and I had went to jail with 12 felonies, charges against me. And ended up, I mean, God was just orchestrating all of that. His hand was in absolutely all of that. Even though it looks bad, God's hand was in all of that, and his road to redemption for me was in all of that. So I was charged with the drugs, and for that year that I was going to court, and finally pled out to one misdemeanor marijuana charge, which was an amazing miracle in itself. I mean, we got caught with over a pound of meth. So for me to take one misdemeanor marijuana charge was a God thing. It's just a God thing. But I tried to stop, and I tried to quit, the whole time I was on probation. I had 12 months probation, and I tried to, in my own strength, on my own, and I couldn't even quit selling drugs, much less doing them. And I ended up in jail on a violation of probation on technical charges, was there for about 3.5 months. I got locked up, in fact, February the 13th of 08, which was my last day that I did meth. And I had time to kind of detox and get my mind clear. And I read a book. I couldn't tell you the name of the book. I don't remember it, but it was a girl's story about how she got delivered from meth. And after I read that, it was just like, okay, God, I can't do this. My son had come to visit me in jail, and here I am wearing the jailhouse orange. My hair's all braided back, and my son, who at the time was like 9, 10 years old, is sitting there looking at me through glass. And after visitation, it just broke me. I went into the bathroom, and you've got like the little bitty plastic mirrors, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I realized that I've become the one person. I've become just like the one person that I didn't want to be, that I couldn't. And it broke something inside of me. I had become the mom that I had just vowed not to be. I had left my children behind. I was not involved in their lives. And now I'm sitting in jail, and I can't even go see them or do them. They have to come visit me. And I just cried out. I began at that point crying out to God, take this from me. Please take this from me. I can't do it. I don't have the power. I don't have the strength, and I don't want it anymore. Please take it from me. And that's all I prayed. That simple. I don't want this. I can't do it. Please take it. And I prayed that for months and months and months, and before I got out of jail. And when I got out, it's like I said, it's deliverance. It was a God ordained deliverance, because when I got out of jail, the only place I had to go was back to the dope house. That was the only place I had to go. So here I am, completely surrounded with everybody doing dope and everybody, partying and everything. But I had absolutely no desire for it. Now, that's not to say I was completely delivered of everything. God delivered me of what I was willing to be delivered from, what I was willing to give to Him when I was willing to give it to Him. So my, road to redemption kind of looks like Lazarus and the grave clothes coming off. Piece by piece, I lost a desire for these things that I was doing, but the meth, I stayed in a meth house for 9 months after I got out of jail, and never once, even to this day, 12 years later, have I been tempted, have I desired, have I had a want to do it. And for 9 months, I lived with everybody around me doing it. And so it's, just a complete deliverance. And without His help, I couldn't have done it. I just couldn't have. A familiar spirit is a spirit that has either been attached to your family or was generationally passed along. And being that both of my parents were addicts, and go back to my grandfather and my great grandfather, there was addiction in my family on both sides. The enemy knows this, and he knows that this could be a weak place for him to enter into your life. But not only that, because I, in my mind, vowed to never be like this, it's like it put a target on me for the enemy to go, oh, really? And so he couldn't directly come to that target, but through a back door or through, a window, or however you want to, analyze it, that was a target on me, because I vowed to never be like my mom, to never be like my dad, to never fall into this. But I wasn't strengthened supernaturally to avoid that. It was within my own strength, and where I don't want to rely on my own strength for much of anything, because I'm human and it fails. My mom was an addict and wasn't around for much of my life. My parents divorced when I was 4, and my mom chose that lifestyle as opposed to being a mom and being around. And there was a 5-year period of time where I chose that lifestyle and wasn't around for my children. But I have been completely open and honest with them about that lifestyle, what it did to me, why, and have not just been open with them, but spiritually stood in my parental authority that God's given me over my children, and broke those generational curses and broke that generational cycle. And so, yes, it absolutely stops here. It stops with me. It means that the mistakes and the person that I had become is dead. And that although that was my life and my story, that's not who I am today. That person is no longer living. That person is no longer me. I am a new creation. I am a new person, and with a new chance. It means that even though the mistakes that I made and the people that I hurt and everything that happened, it happened, but I'm no longer that person. It's truly a new creation. I am truly a new person. That person is dead. I'm not connected to the emotions that she had. I'm not connected to the things that she did or who she was. It's a separation from an old life to a new one. Yes, he was there every every step of the way, whether I chose to acknowledge it or whether I chose to feel it or whether I chose to see it, if he wasn't there with me, I would be dead. I would be. He was there the when I OD'd and was trembling and shaking and lost consciousness, and he was there. He was there when I woke up. He was there when I was in high-speed motorcycle chases. He was there through it all. Absolutely there. He had his hand of protection on me through every bit of it. And through every bit of that, he was drawing me to him, whether I chose to go the other way or whether I chose to feel it, acknowledge it, or see it. He was absolutely there with me. He loves every one of them just as much as he loves me. There's nothing different about me. There's nothing special about me. I wish I could say I was his favorite and I was special. I mean, but he loves every one of us just as much. And if you have children, not just one, but if you have children, then you can understand that a parent's love for each child can be unique and can be different, but it's just as true and it's just as strong and it's just as much. I have my own house. I have me and my husband have our own business. We have a sign and company where we install and service signs. We, have our family. Like I said, I had left my children for about a 5-year period of time where they didn't really see me, definitely not on a regular basis, inconsistently. I talk to my children a couple times a week. I see them. My grandson, I have a lot of several times a week, and have been able to help my daughter, who is a single mom. She's getting ready to graduate Georgia Tech, and I've been able to be there for her and to be the help that I didn't have when, because at 16 and I was pregnant, I was on my own. I was told I had made my bed and I was going to lay in it. And I had decided, when I found out she was pregnant, that wasn't going to be her story, that she was going to have help, that she was going to be set up for success so that she didn't have to struggle through life with my grandson. And so, I'm able to do that now. And I'm on the board at my church. We go out and minister. I guess the coolest thing that God has done in this full circle of things is when I was in the streets and running around selling drugs and doing drugs, I was hanging out in strip clubs on Fulton Industrial. And now I'm involved in a ministry that goes down and ministers and rescues these women out of human trafficking and prostitution. So God has brought that full circle in my life. And, so it's just a different life. It seems like a completely different world. It's just not the same at all. Everything that I gave up, everything that I walked away from, everything that I allowed the enemy to take from me, God has restored to me. He's given it back. Some things more fully than others, but it's a process, and it's a process. Not everybody's is going to look the same, but it means that I now have life that I gave up. I now have my family that I gave up, my dreams and my hopes that I gave up. I now have something to look forward to. Call out to God. He cares and he is listening. Call out to and be real with him. It doesn't have to be what you think that just be real. Talk to him like you would like I talk to you, or like you talk to a friend. Be real with him and tell him where you're weak. Tell him what you're feeling. Tell him that you're hurt. Just call out to God, because he's the light. He's the strength. He is the one that is going to make a way. He knows your situation and your hurt and your feelings more than you do, but he needs you to partner with him, to come alongside with him and admit and agree that this is where I'm at, but this is not where I want to be. This is, you have to partner with him. He can't he can't go against your own will. He gave you free will, but he wants you to submit and surrender your free will to his will and come alongside with you and to change your life, to restore your life, to give you new life.